Welcome to Doing Business Gently. If you're a woman over 50 who has built a business alongside personal health challenges, caregiving, and the ever-changing world of entrepreneurship, you are in the right place. I'm your host, Marta, and on this show, we talk about building a simple and sustainable business that fits your current season of life and doing that gently from a place of rest. In today's episode, we are asking the question, why? Why are you in business? Why do you market a certain way? Why is your schedule a certain way during the week? Why do you do this? Why do you do that? This is a question I've been asking in my business pretty much all of 2026, but especially in the last few weeks, as I have done a deep dive into my business, evaluating what's working, what's not, what has changed over the years. And I have gone through a significant loss in the family that is changing how I do business. And it's changing my why. And so it's time for me to sit down and ask the question, why am I still in business? Why am I doing this? And I'll be transparent with you. I don't have the answer yet. From day one of the catalyst moments for me to leave my last corporate job and start a business was my mother. She needed more of my time and attention, and I was using up vacation time and sick leave to take care of her. And I needed to have a more flexible schedule so that I could take care of her. Well, now that she is no longer here with us, that has changed my business. And I even had somebody ask me the other day, so with everything that's happened, do you know your why in your business? And I had to tell her, no, I don't. And I'm actually okay with that. I'm surprised. I like to know why. I like to connect with my why. I like to dig deep into it and move forward. But after 18 years in business, I know that this is not an overnight answer. And that by asking why, I'm going to find it. And when I ask why and question things, but at the same time still taking action and moving forward in my business, that clarity around my why is going to become clearer. I'm going to see it more fully for what it is. And I'm excited to find the answer. But that's not stopping me from taking action. It's not stopping me from showing up on the podcast. It's not stopping me from showing up for my clients. But it is an important question that we need to ask on a regular basis, because when you don't ask the question why, a lot of times you end up with misalignment. You end up what feels like burnout, but actually probably is misalignment with your values and your priorities and what's going on in your business. You start to blend in because you're just doing things through habits and routines and because you've always done it. When you don't stop to ask the question why, you're not examining your habits and your routines and how you're investing your time and your energy, and you're just doing it because it's always been done. And then you are not taking a close look at your business and growing an intentional, purposeful business. Why is just a simple 3-letter word, but it packs a powerful punch when you take the time to ask why about your business. In the last few episodes, I had a mini series about finding your voice and connecting with your business. This is such an important process in any entrepreneur's journey, but especially if you've gone through something difficult or you've gone through a life change. You're kind of going through an identity change where you are growing as a person, as an entrepreneur, and it's time to bring your business along with it, and you want to feel that connection again. And once you've gone through that process, and it is an important one, then it's time to schedule time on a regular basis and ask why. Is this still my voice? Am I still feeling connected? Why or why not? When you take the time to ask the question why, it's actually a healthy habit and routine because you're asking, am I being intentional? Am I being purposeful? Am I doing something out of fear? Am I doing something out of busy work? And this is a conversation we recently had in the mastermind, because this has been on my heart a lot, because I know I'm going through it, and I know the women in my mastermind have been going through some pretty big life changes themselves. And they couldn't remember the last time they asked this question, why? And I actually had one of the members reach out to me later in the day after that conversation. And she said that was tough. I did not like the conversation at first because I didn't like the answers I was coming up with, the whys behind things I was doing and things I wasn't doing. She said, but also it was necessary. She actually ended up saying, thank you for facilitating the conversation and facilitating it in a safe place that we could have this type of conversation. And it's important to do this because a lot of times you can ask the question why on your own. And if you spend time with it, you're going to get below the surface. But a lot of times when you're in community where you feel safe to have these kind of conversations, asking the question why and being challenged a little bit in a safe place, you are feeling more enabled and empowered to dig deep and ask that question why and actually dig deeper for an answer. When you understand that you need to do this, what are some of the questions that you need to ask about? You need to ask about your business in general. Why am I still in business? Is the why that I understood in the early days of my business, is that still appropriate? Is it still fit me? Does it still describe why I'm in business? I will put a link in the show notes for an earlier episode I did. And when I asked the question, do you need to know the why behind your business? And I think when you're first getting started in business, for a lot of us, we don't have a why other than it's a need. I need to do this. Maybe you lost a job. Maybe like me, the job was killing you and you needed to get out of it and your family needed you. Maybe you had some intense caregiving responsibilities, whether that was for aging parents or you were helping your children or grandchildren and you needed to be there for them and you needed a flexible schedule to do that. And maybe you just realized that it was now or never to start this business that you've thought about for a long time. And when you do it that way, you're starting from a place of stress. It's not really a place of intention and purpose. It's in a place of, I need to do this and I need to make it work. So when you're in that mindset, you're not asking a lot of why questions. You're making a lot of offers. You're getting in front of a lot of people, just trying to get the business up and running off the ground. And that does take a lot of work. And at that point, your why may not be crystal clear. And that's okay. As you go through your journey as an entrepreneur, your why does start to develop, but it develops through taking action, through serving, from trying and experimenting. And I bet if you look at why you started your business at the very beginning, if you look at it now, does that same why apply? I would bet it doesn't. I know mine doesn't. So just know that just because you haven't asked this question in a while doesn't mean anything is totally wrong. But if you do feel that you're disconnected a little bit and that you're in the process of finding your voice, or that you feel like you found your voice and now you're using it, it's time to ask why, and asking why on a regular basis. So yes, you do need to ask why. Why am I in business? Why am I doing this? What's my vision? What's my mission? Why am I doing this? And that needs to be a question you ask on a regular basis. Then you also need to take a look at, why am I offering these products and services? And this is something that also came in that same mastermind conversation. Why? Why am I doing this? Is this something that I really enjoy doing and I know I can serve people and help them make a transformation and help them solve a problem? Or is this something I've done just because people keep asking for it and I need the money, so I did it or I do it? Or is it something that I've learned to be really good at because I had to? But now as I'm asking the question, why? I don't really like to do it. And looking at your products and services, are they still serving your clients? Are they still helping them solve the problem that you tell them that you can help them solve? Are people responding to it? Do you need to update the program? Do you need to update the service? Do you need to let go of the service or product? Asking why you're offering these products and services on a regular basis helps you develop intentional, purposeful products and services that make a difference, that make an impact. What about your marketing? Why are you showing up in all the places? Or on the opposite end of the spectrum, why are you not showing up in a specific way to share about your business? In that conversation, the mastermind, the word consistency came up quite a bit. I'm not consistent in showing up in my marketplace to share about what I do. And I can tell when I show up consistently, things happen. But in that same conversation, what also happened was, okay, so this is working. So now I need to add this layer and this layer and this layer. And so again, we have to pull back. Why those extra layers? When you do X and Y happens, do you need another layer yet? And maybe you do. But until you ask the why question, you don't know. Because if you know that action X gets Y results, maybe it's time for you to double down on action X to get even better Y results, which is not a glamorous thing to think about. A lot of times that's the boring work. But in our brains, a lot of times we feel we need to create a new product or a service. We need to start a new marketing initiative. We need to do this. We need to do that. Instead of slowing down and asking why. Is this marketing channel working? Why or why not? Am I showing up in too many places? Why? What's the purpose of me showing up in the newsletter, email, in the podcast, on social media, on doing whatever you are in your marketing plan? When you're not asking why, you're just doing things because people tell you need to do it, or you feel like you need to show up more places. And until you ask the question why, you don't know if layering on these additional options is simple and sustainable for you. Is it purposeful and intentional? Or you're scared and you feel like you need to do it. Laura Casey is she's an author. She used to run and operate. She's the founder of Cultivate What Matters. And back in the day when she was still leading that company, she did mention one time, and I can't remember if it was an email or a podcast, but somewhere she was talking about how they come together as a company and evaluate where they show up in their marketing. And for each avenue of their marketing, they write a mission statement for it. This is why we're on this platform. This is why we're pursuing this channel of marketing. And it gave it purpose. And it allowed them to ask the question why, rather than just doing it out of somebody telling them they needed to do it. So in your marketing, are you showing up in too many places? Are you showing up in not enough places? Why? The other question that I've been really trying to grapple with is where I'm investing my time and energy into my business. I looked at how many hours I've been putting in towards the podcast. How many hours am I doing in email marketing? Why? What's my ROI? Am I seeing the ROI? Do I need to make any adjustments? Do I need to add in different layers of marketing? And for me, I actually have some changes I've seen that I need to make in the podcast. There's some changes I'm going to be making in my emails that go out each week. And also, in looking at that, I also realize I am ready for and need an additional layer of outreach in marketing opportunities, and I'm pursuing that. But it wasn't until I looked at my numbers and started asking why that I could see that. And last, but certainly not least, is asking about you in your business. Because you are the most important asset of your business. And you are worth protecting as the business asset. So when you ask how you're doing and you can't answer the question, why? If you're doing great in your business, why? What habits and routines are supporting you? If you're not doing great in your business, why? What is not serving you? What's happening that you are not protecting you, the important asset of your business? In the next series of episodes that I'll be releasing out here in the next few weeks, we're going to be talking about rest as a strategic move in your business, and rest needs to be part of your business plan. And when you're asking why and understanding how important you are in your business and serving your clients, you're going to get some answers that you may or may not like. But you need to look at protecting you, protecting your capacity, protecting your boundaries, because you are your business. You are the face of your business. You're the one that is the visionary. You're the one that serves your clients. You're the one that makes an impact. So we're going to be looking at that in future episodes, but you also need to be asking, why are you pushing? Or why are you hiding? Or where are you not resting and why? So I hope this gives you a place to, I kind of describe it as my inner toddler coming out and asking why, and pointing out all these things and asking questions. Sometimes we need that. Sometimes we need that push to ask the question why, and not just assume we're doing things out of habit and routines that no longer serve us and are possibly no longer healthy. So ask those questions. Why your business? Why your products and services? Why your marketing channels? And how are you doing in your business and why? If you want to build a simple and sustainable business, it starts with rest. And rest gives you the time and the space and the capacity to ask these questions why and give honest, deep answers. If you would like help jumpstarting this, I would invite you to take my Business Alignment Audit. It's just a few questions and it takes about 5 minutes, and you get personalized results based on your answers about your business. And it's going to show you where you are disconnected or out of alignment with your business. And that's a perfect opportunity for you to look at your result and ask the question, why? Why am I connected here? Why am I not connected here? So I hope you'll take that over there. I'd love to hear your results if you would like to share them. You can find that over at silastudios.co/alignment audit. And I'll have a link to that in the show notes for you. And as I mentioned, the next series is going to be about rest as a strategic move in your business plan. And it's all about protecting you, the asset, the important asset you are, because you are worth resting for. I'll see you in the next episode.